Friends, good morning and happy Easter. It is wonderful to be together. If you're visiting from elsewhere, raise your hand. Any visitors, welcome. It's wonderful to have you joining our family here this morning for the celebration of the Lord's resurrection. He is risen indeed. All right, so let's get into it. I want to talk about something that's puzzled me, and perhaps it's puzzled you too at one point or another in your life, specifically surrounding Easter. So here we are celebrating. What are we celebrating? We're celebrating the incarnate God's triumph over sin and death, that God, like the God who's the maker of the sun, the moon, the stars, the cosmic glory that is the universe, the God who became flesh, and he went to war against the ancient adversary, descending into the bowels of death, allowing himself to be swallowed by the dragon so that he could explode death from the inside out, invading hell with light and life and glory. And he rises triumphing over death, and the recreation of the cosmos begins. And in order to symbolize this most momentous event, culture, history, tradition, they have given us the ferocious Easter Bunny as this solemnity's mascot. In the words of Jerry Seinfeld, what's the deal with the Easter Bunny? Okay, I have a theory that I want to share. I think it sheds some light on some incredible light on what we're invited to contemplate in these Easter days. So stay with me, 10 o'clock Mass people. I need you to stay with me. We're about to get really nerdy, and we're going to do some bunny rabbit math this morning. All right, you're going to stay with me? Yes, Father? Yes, Father. Great. Okay, here we go. We're going to play out some scenarios. A single female rabbit can have somewhere in the ballpark of 1 to 14 babies per litter. And let's just be conservative here, and let's just say she's having 6 babies per litter. Okay, we're also going to make the assumption, remember this is all hypothetical, we're going to make the assumption that only half of those of the 6 are females. So we'll calculate our numbers based on, half are females. We're going to also assume that none of the bunnies die. They've all approximately lived to about 7 years of age. That's a good average lifespan of a bunny, right? So, you with me so far? Yes, Father? Good. Okay. Rabbit gestation. You didn't know you're going to learn about rabbit gestation at Easter Sunday Mass. Rabbit gestation, somewhere between 28 to 31 days. So, if our starter bunny, if she begins reproducing around 6 months of age, seemingly very young, but normal for rabbits, right? If she seems to start reproducing then, and has babies every month for 7 years, then at the end of the first year, one mother times 3 female rabbits times 12 months, we're looking at 36 rabbits plus the original female. By the end of year 2, 37 mother rabbits times 3 female rabbits times 12 months, we're looking at 1,332 females plus, your original 37, bringing up to 1,369. Okay, it's about to get bonkers, okay? At the end of year 3, we're looking at about 50,653 rabbits. At the end of year 4, 1,872,792 bunnies. At the end of year 5, 69,293,304 bunnies. At the end of year 6, 2,563,852,248 bunny rabbits. And at the end of year 7, we're looking at 94,862,569,180. And remember, that's just the females. You double that, right? Average it out, you got 184,597,433,860-ish rabbits in 7 years from that one female rabbit. If the bunny rabbit is a symbol of anything, it is a very apt symbol of superabundant life. Can I get an amen? It's an apt symbol of superabundant life, which, if I can make the connection here, is what Easter is. It's the proclamation of a superabundant life, that life is stronger than death. Life and love are stronger than death. But, friends, what in the world do those words mean, that life and love are stronger than death? And why should we care? What difference does the resurrection actually make? Most of us Christians in the modern Western church today, we have a rather, I'm going to be honest, we have a rather non-biblical view and understanding of what it is that Jesus came to do, what he accomplished in his resurrection. This is no fault of our own, but we don't really have a biblical view. We don't really understand it. Lent we can get. Lent we wrap our heads around. 40 days, batten down the hatches, prayer, fasting, penance, giving things up here and there, refocusing our prayer lives. We get Lent, right? The sort of spiritual Olympics, discipline. We get that. Then we come to Holy Week and we journey through the Lord beginning in Palm Sunday, the crowds hailing him as Messiah, Hosanna to the Son of David, and all of that. We get to Holy Thursday. He's gathered in the upper room with his chosen 12 to celebrate the Passover, washing the feet. We can see that. We can understand that. The institution of the Eucharist happens, the institution of the priesthood. He journeys from the upper room to Gethsemane, where he enters into the agony. There commences the arrest, then the mock show trial. Annas, Caiaphas, Pilate. Behold the man. He's scourged. He's condemned. He carries his cross. He's crucified. He dies. And on Good Friday, he says, "It is finished," and breathes his last, and we all kneel. The massive stone is rolled in front of the tomb. And then, 3 days later, he's back from the dead. We have the statue. There he is, back from the dead. The tomb is empty, and the message that we've all just come to drink in, the conclusion we all seem to have about the resurrection is that what it means is that now all of us, when we die, we can go and be with him. And that notion would have struck the first Christians as very odd. It's not entirely wrong or entirely off, but that's not what they, especially St. Paul, it's not what they understood as the primary meaning of Jesus' resurrection. Like, we tend to think of the resurrection as the tidy end of the long, brutal story, right? The whole journey of his public ministry, his passion, he dies, and then the end of the Gospels is the resurrection. So we think it's the end. Like, thank goodness, there it is. Death didn't win after all. Roll credits. Jesus is back. Cue the Easter Bunny. No! For the first Christians, Easter morning was not the end of something. It was the beginning of something. It was the beginning of something. It was the launching point. It was the inauguration of something. Of what? It's the question. In a word, Resurrection Sunday, this morning, is the inauguration, the launching of the restoration of the cosmos, of the entirety of creation. It's the new creation. It's God's definitive declaration. It's his reiteration of what he said at the beginning. In the book of Genesis, as he's making everything, he pronounces it, "It is good, it is good, it is good, it is very good." And Jesus' resurrection was the proof of his commitment to set things right. In fact, like all the gospel writers, when they're narrating the resurrection story, like we heard this morning, they all say, "on the morning of the first day of the week." That phrase, the first day of the week, it harkens back to that original 7 days of creation. It's now the 8th day. It's the new day. It's the recreation of the cosmos. He's telling us the story of the new creation, that restoration has begun with Jesus' own bodily resurrection. It's his body that was raised from the dead. You see, God's beautiful masterpiece, all of creation, it culminated in his precious image bearers. That's you and me, human beings. Like that masterpiece of humanity, through sin and through the envy of the devil, like humanity had been taken captive. We'd become bound by corruption and sin and death, that death entered the world as a result of sin. And friends, it was never meant to be this way. Death was never meant to enter God's creation. Look, I don't mean to be a downer on Easter Sunday, but if we're going to apprehend the goodness of today's good news, then we have to be resituated within the reality of the bad news. The good news is just news if you don't know the bad news. We have to be resituated within the bad news. And here's the bad news, that you along with everyone you know and everyone you love and everything you love, from every animal and creature to every vista and mountain range to every perfect bowl of ice cream, even every star. Everything is mortal. Everything is finite. Everything that we see, everyone you know, is headed to corruption and dissolution. Nothing lasts. Everything is subject to death. We were always meant to be creatures of the infinite. Like we have in our hearts these deep longings for the infinite. Perhaps we don't notice it all the time because we numb it out, we distract ourselves, we anesthetize ourselves, we chalk up these emotions to something childish or naive. Like we get sad when vacations end and we're like, well, don't be stupid, vacations end. Vacations have to end. We get sad when the beautiful sunset goes down. It's like, don't be stupid, the sun goes down. But our hearts are prophetic. Our hearts know something deeper than our heads. For example, I love the Easter decorations that fill our church. I love them. I love them. I love them. And I hate them. I love them and I hate them. Like these flowers. As gorgeous as these flowers are, and no matter how hard and diligently we water them, they are all going to wilt. The petals are going to shrivel and they're going to fall to the ground. That all of this beauty that surrounds us right now, it's going to fade. It's going to go away. Like when you walked into the church and you saw this, did not something happen to your heart? Yes or yes? Yes, you see this. Beauty lifts you. Beauty moves you. And there's a thing in us that says, I want this. Something like this to last forever, but it doesn't. And if we listen to our hearts long enough, what you'll hear in your heart is this desire that says, I want a beauty that doesn't fade. I don't want a beauty that just comes and goes. I want a beauty that is secure. I want a kind of life that I have never known in this life. A life where joy doesn't come and go. Where goodness doesn't come and go. Where all love lasts. Where there are no goodbyes and where there's no death. Friends, this is the pledge of resurrection. That with Him, God has inaugurated the new creation, that we are not destined for a disembodied spirit realm in heaven. Yes, death will come for all of us. Our souls and our bodies, they will separate, but we believe in the resurrection of the body. I'm going to ask you after the homily, do you believe in the resurrection of the body? Whose body? Not just His body. Raise your hand if you have a body. Everybody. We believe in the resurrection of the body. Your body, my body, everybody. We will be clothed, as St. Paul says, in immortality. Incorruptible, not able to be corrupted. So all of those gray hairs that you look in the mirror and you think, ugh. Those wrinkles and those age spots, and you're like, geez, I need some creams. Like, all of those signs that say you are aging and you are headed for the grave, all of that will be gone in the resurrection of your body, of our body. We are pledged and we are promised a joy that is secure and unfading beauty. St. Paul describes Jesus' resurrection as the first fruits. You know what the first fruits are? It's the initial batch of the harvest. It's a signal that there is a wave of fruit coming after Him. He's the first fruits. We are the great harvest. And Jesus' incarnation, friends, by joining God's divine nature to our nature, He has opened up a way for us. He has made a way for us to come home to the full truth and the fullness of our humanity. That He has launched the new creation of the cosmos. And we, His body, His church, we are to continue His mission of bringing resurrected life to earth. The goal is not to escape earth, to escape this body. The goal is to bring heaven to earth. Your world, the people you're surrounded by. So friends, we are called to not just recall the resurrection once a year on Easter. We are called to be Easter people, to look like the people of the resurrection, to live the resurrection in our personal lives, in your marriages, in your families, at work, with friends. We have to be the evidence. We have to be the evidence of the resurrection. Remember, John and Peter, they get to the tomb, they look in the tomb, and what did they see? Nothing. They saw nothing. But what did the world see? They saw the lives of ordinary men and women and children living and loving and going about their lives in quiet, hidden sacrifice in unbelievable and beautiful ways, so different than the way of the world. The world still bound by the fear of death and the hopeless fate of never being satisfied. Christians live in the hope that the satisfaction is coming, that death is not the end. So friends, the world's recreation, its restoration, it has begun. That's why we sing Alleluia. The superabundant life that burst out of the tomb, it is meant to flood us so that we would flood the world, that we would be his witnesses and live in the light of the resurrection. Christ is risen, he is risen indeed. Let the church sing Alleluia. Alleluia.